right, welcome back to Dear Guitar Industry. Brian Porter and Marco Gonzalez here. We're excited to jump into this topic. I'm going to include a link to our pickup chooser. You've heard us talk about it multiple times. If you're curious what it is, just a very helpful tool to find your next set of Porter pickups for your guitar. If you have no clue, there's no wrong answers. You don't have to have a bunch of knowledge coming to us to fill this out. Just say, I need some help, and we'll help you. So that's basically how it's going to go with that. Okay, we're talking brand popularity today.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, each one of these, I feel like we're flying over these topics, and we could really go pretty deep. So, if you want us to go deeper, we had some comments on a past one where they said, "Oh, I wish you would have got hit a little harder here," or "Wish you would have gone deeper in this." So that's fine. We can totally do that. Today's topic is, why are some brands more popular than others? So we could go through the entire gear industry and pick apart like all sorts of things. So when you were looking through the notes on this, what came to mind just right off the top of your head?
Well, I think it's interesting, like I think all of you viewers, like when you read this sentence, like there's going to be one brand, I think, maybe different for everybody, that sticks out in somebody's head. And there's always that kind of brand that you feel like it's got the spotlight on them right now, or whatever. And so, yeah, I think everybody can fill that in. I mean, I would definitely agree that there's like a lot of popular brands right now. I know I've kind of been smitten with Novos, and that's like a popular brand right now. I think another one that I've heard a lot about, or I think you don't see that much, is like Exotic, and they've been building guitars now, which is really cool. And maybe, so there's like, everyone's got a brand that maybe they see a lot of. I see a lot of Iconic, or you used to see a lot I think we're going to see a lot more of Iconic in the coming days.
Right.
And that's just guitar brands. Like, I know that amps is a whole other thing, pedals is a whole other thing. Like, it's cool.
It's a deep dive, I mean, for sure. But I'm curious to know, like, if you guys have any thoughts on this on our YouTube page for this. We'll link to the YouTube page on the podcast page, so you can leave your comments. We're really trying to make these interactive and kind of have these discussions. We want to hit these topics, and we really want to continue the discussions down below in the comments. So please leave questions, please leave comments. This is not necessarily like overrated, underrated brands, but it is kind of one of those things where like some brands just get all the mention online, and some of it's the brands that spend the most money get the most mention. And there's a ton of underrated brands. I think there's a lot of people, I would say they're more like us, maybe a little bit more introverted and a little bit more focused more on the product than the branding and the marketing. And sometimes those brands don't go as far because they're not playing the marketing game that you have to play, that it feels like in this industry. Whoever spends the most gets the most eyeballs on them, which is totally true. People fighting for good spots at the NAMM show. I remember that was a thing when we were signed up for the NAMM show. It's like, well, you can't come out of the basement until you do this and this. And I think about that when it comes to popularity and brands, and you keep seeing the same brands. I heard really recently, it's like you got to keep releasing new gear to kind of like stay on top of people's radar. And I get that, because some people won't see you if you don't release new stuff, or you aren't part of the machine. So what do you think about this? Like, sometimes it feels like pay to play, right? It feels like, okay, he who spends the most is the most popular, and it's not always the case, but there's certainly like viral brands. But, what do you think about, like, even if you think of some specific brands that come to mind, and I think of like Keeley's just been releasing a whole bunch of stuff, right? They've been really ramping up the releases. They've just been hammering these new pedals, and it's probably part of a strategy. It's probably part of necessity, I think, in the gear market. But they're definitely a popular brand, I would say, in my mind, of someone who's constantly in your face in terms of videos and things like that. Where do you land on that?
Yeah, you'll see like ads and stuff in Guitar Worlds, and I've seen a lot of ads of the Keeley stuff, and I think it's really cool. I haven't had a chance to like really like dive into it, but I'm excited to maybe have an opportunity to try that stuff at some point. But yeah, you saw a lot of it, and they kind of, it's weird how they kind of trickled out the release too. They were like, okay, here's a pedal and here's another pedal, and then
And here's 3 more pedals.
Yeah.
Just bam, bam, bam.
So it's kind of interesting, and maybe that's like an interesting approach too, where they're like, okay, a little bit of marketing, and then kind of get people used to seeing us, and then like again, like, oh, now we've got something for regardless of the guitar player that you are. So, maybe that was an interesting approach, and it's like I almost think like maybe you kind of have to play it like that, kind of like a little more strategic approach to your release, because you don't want to risk like having a big release and then also not knowing that some other gear company had a bigger release and made a bigger splash, and it kind of like takes your thunder. It's a really kind of a fickle thing. I think it's anybody's guess, but no one's there's no right or wrong way, and some people are really good at like throwing the dart and hitting the bullseye and like proper release timing, I think, but it is kind of strange. And obviously if your brand has a lot of popularity, there's a good chance you'll sell out when you're like, okay, every time it's open, it's time for everything to be purchased. And it's interesting. I'm not really sure.
I don't think there's any specific thing, right? Sometimes it's a strategy that, like you said, a strategy that works, a special limited, we see limited colors, right, with the pedal industry. We see limited run guitars. We see all those different things to kind of create the buzz and popularity. And then, of course, like you have the influencers and the artists and all of this stuff creates the umbrella of popularity. So where do you guys land on that? Because I think a lot of times it's not one thing. It's multiple angles and multiple things. If you I saw this other guy playing. Oh, this guy's playing a Suhr guitar too, and so is this guy. So is this guy, and maybe I should get one. And it's kind of like, I saw someone say, well, the big thing they're playing on is like fear of missing out, right? So the exclusives or the limited runs is like, oh, you better get it from here, and then that creates maybe the popularity because you miss out on it, and then it surges up, or used on Reverb or something like that. But again, flyover topic today, really quick hitting on this topic, but we're trying to dive into this thing. We're certainly not not experts on popularity, if you couldn't tell, but our brand's been around for a while, and some people would consider us a good pickup company to go to, and maybe not popular, but also hopefully consistent. And we try to get our stuff done and get our work out and turn good stuff, but sometimes we're fighting an uphill battle, it seems like, because we either don't have the finances to play the popularity game, or don't have the psychological prowess to like get in people's head and convince them that we are the pickup company for them to choose. And so that's like, I guess at the end here, maybe just expressing a bit of frustration, because there's parts of the gear industry that feel like high school drama sometimes, and then there's other parts that are just awesome. There's great people. But it is trying to find your path in there and not compromising, I think, what you value and what's important. So anyways, little rant there at the end, but we appreciate you guys watching this. We'd love to have that discussion down below, just purely because we're interested in what influences people, and we're certainly not trying to figure out how to play tricks on people. We just want to stay consistent, but we are often confused by why some things are more popular than others, not just in our little corner, but in general, in products across the, like, why is that jacket so cool? And what's wrong with this jacket? I don't know why I thought of jackets, but
yeah, they're made in the same place.
Exactly.
Why is it so much better?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's so that thing. And yeah, I think we see it in other aspects of our lives, and maybe just that we hold like guitar and gear and music like in a special place. Maybe we notice it, but I think if you look, you see that everywhere too. And some stuff's just hot and some stuff's not, and who is it that decides what is and why? And is it just because the logo is like swoopy and it looks good on this article of merchandise or whatever? It's interesting. So we just wanted to chat about it, I guess.
Definitely. And I think we all fall for certain aspects of that. I think that's probably a fair way to say it. And falling for it makes it sound like the product itself sucks, and many times it doesn't, right? We just like, oh, I really like this, dad shoe or something like that, whatever it could be. I mean, you're going to be drawn to certain things. So thoughts below in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Our 10-minute timer is up, so we are done. Thank you guys for being a part of these Deer Guitar Industry shows.
Yep. Later, guys and gals.